Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Umisa Ayu and today I'll be presenting my final project entitled Grammar Error Hunt from Sentences to Creative Explanation. In this presentation, I'll be reviewing 10 sentences that contain grammar mistakes related to advanced English grammar topics, including conditionals, past models, subjunctives, nominalization, and inverted sentences. For each sentence, I'll identify the error, explain why it's incorrect, and show the correct form. So let's get started.
So, in the sentence 1, let's start with the first sentence. If the crew would have followed the compass, they would have found the treasure. At first glance, the sentence may seem acceptable, but there's actually a problem in the conditional structure. The phrase would have followed appears in the if clause, and that's not how a type 3 conditional is formed. When we talk about an unreal situation in the past, the if clause should use the past perfect tense. So instead of would have followed, we should say had followed. So the correct sentence is, if the crew had followed the compass, they would have found the treasure. Now, the sentence correctly follows the type 3 conditional pattern, which is if plus past perfect followed by would have plus past participle. So, now let's move on to sentence number 2. The treasure should have been found by the crew long ago. The meaning of the sentence is clear, but the verb form is incorrect. After the structure should have been, we must use a past participle. The verb find is still in its base form, while the past participle of find is found. Because of that, the sentence should be corrected to the treasure should have been found by the crew long ago. This follows the pattern modal plus have been plus past participle. That fixes the problem. So, let's continue with sentence number 3. The captain suggested that the crew shouldn't ignore the ancient warnings. The issue here involves the subjunctive form. After verbs such as suggest, recommend, or insist, English usually use the base verb in subjunctive construction. Because of that, should is unnecessary. So the corrected sentence becomes, the captain suggested that the crew not ignore the ancient warnings. Now, the sentence follows the correct subjunctive structure. So let's look at sentence number 4. Not only the crew ignored the compass, but they also sailed into danger. Something is missing after the expression not only here. In English, not only requires inversion, which means an auxiliary verb must appear before the subject. That's why the crew ignored should change to did the crew ignore. So the corrected sentence is, not only did the crew ignore the compass, but they also sailed into danger. Now, the sentence follows the correct inverted structure. Next, we have sentence number 5. The crew's ignore of the compass led to their loss of direction. This sentence contains errors in nominalization. The words ignore and lose are verbs, but this sentence requires noun forms. The noun form of ignore is ignorance, and the noun form of lose is lost. Therefore, the corrected sentence is, the crew's ignorance of the compass led to their loss of direction. Using the correct noun forms makes the sentence grammatically accurate and more natural. So, let's continue with sentence number 6. If Morgan would know the way, she would lead them to safety. Here, we have another conditional error. This sentence expresses a hypothetical situation in the present, so it should use a type of 2 conditional. And in a type 2 conditional, the if clause uses the simple past tense. For the reason would know should be changed to knew. The correct sentence is, if Morgan knew the way, she would lead them to safety. This follows the correct pattern, if plus simple past plus would plus base verb. Now, let's look at sentence number 7. Morgan must have known the secret, but she chose not to reveal it. The problem here is the modal construction. After the modal verb must, we use have plus a past participle. Therefore, must have known is incorrect. So the corrected sentence is, Morgan must have known the secret, but she chose not to reveal it. This structure is used when we make a strong assumption about something in the past. Let's move on to sentence number 8. Only after they had survived the storm they realized their mistake. The sentence sounds incomplete because inversion is required after the expression only after. To create the correct structure, we need the auxiliary verb did before the subject. The corrected sentence becomes only after they had survived the storm did they realize their mistake. Now the sentence follows the proper inverted sentence pattern. Next is sentence number 9. Morgan insisted that Eliza was the one to lead the expedition. The sentence contains another subjunctive error. After the verb insisted, English uses the subjunctive form. That means we should use the base verb be instead of was. So the correct sentence here is Morgan insisted that Eliza be the one to lead the expedition. This makes the sentence grammatically correct. So, finally, let's examine sentence number 10. Morgan's decide to join the crew was a surprise to everyone. The problem here is nominalization. The word decide is a verb, but after Morgan's we need a noun. The noun form of decide is decision. Therefore, the corrected sentence here is Morgan's decision to join the crew was a surprise to everyone. Now, the sentence uses the correct grammatical form.